Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel, where we learn how to human one book at a time. This is Geek Out number 116 over Wyrmshard. It is book 2 in the Savage Dominion series by Luke Chmilenko and J.D. Penman. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it all in all. Um, it took a different twist than I was expecting, just based off of the first one. Very beginning, you get into it, and it's like, oh, hey, here's an epic long quest to assemble the sword to kill the Void God who's supposed to be coming back. And then, yeah, spoilers ahead, fair warning. Yeah, we essentially complete the quest by the end of the book, and it's all a lie.
In a way, it kind of gave me a bit of that Brandon Sanderson vibe, right?
It
You know
did
how like
have a twist, but the difference was it wasn't the guy who I love to hate. Turned out
true,
that he wasn't wrong.
true. But if you go back, as I was listening to it like the second time this week, um, the foreshadowing's there,
Yeah.
right? Like
Oh,
when
yeah.
they're fighting the dragon and everything, he's like, "Oh, I know it's you. You know, you can't deceive me." And then Mulkin is just, our solid fool that we love. He's like, "No, bro, it's not. It's okay.
It's
It's
for
all
your
gonna be
own
okay."
good. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Though
Um,
that's where you definitely get the Luke Chmilenko vibes for the banter. I thoroughly Ascend
yes,
Online has a little bit more party dynamic banter,
yes.
and he has since been playing with a bunch of other people, but you know that's
It's it's
different for
refreshing
banter
though,
level.
because I don't know, like I get so tired of those main characters that they're smart, they're strong, they can do no wrong, they always have the answers, etc., etc. And then we have this main character who um he's an idiot, like constantly putting his own foot in his mouth, right?
I I guess it's more so relatable because for certain management opportunities that have been offered to me, the staffing is pretty much like, you're nothing, you're worthless, you don't know what the beep you're doing. And I'm like, yep, I'm just making it up as I go. Have fun. You can either join me or you can get out.
Yep,
So
yep.
I can relate in some respects.
Yeah, yeah. Being able to adjust and pivot on the fly as we go along.
Oh, I never ending.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to
Absolutely.
remember process of events for this one because we start off and we're back at oh, I can't remember the mage's name, his tower where
Hmm.
we ended the previous book. We're doing all our hardcore hyperbolic time chamber training. Um, then we figure out how to use the waystones. We pop up in the
Hmm.
middle of oh, charisma human guy. I can't think of his name. Who has
Yeah.
a piece of the shard in his sword, or has the hilt of the shard sword, and then has added metal on top of it to make a sword. Realize he's bad news, but he's with the solar courts
Hmm.
for Eternals. We end up being a Shagnar Fawn, believe that's how you
Hmm.
say it, and go play with the other pawns, um, just to meet up with a equals dwarf, but Dvergar, I believe it is.
Hmm.
Dvergar who has mind blasting ghost powers, which was a interesting mechanic, and yeah, I like our guy's application better for the nudes. Brings a whole new level to send nudes. But
Yes. Yes. Uh
and
yeah.
then so we hang out there. We get to see how downtrodden and beat down they've been since the fall of the Void God, which has been forever, so this is all they know. And we didn't actually save them in this book, but we kind of did. So we end up hanging out with them and, you know, throwing down with Big Lady Fawn and taking on a bunch of worms.
You think she's going to be the love interest next book? Since
I mean, we
our
did
Elvin
off our
Abrian,
current love interest, but we
yeah,
are playing with exceptional void powers, and I hope that we move on. But yeah, I don't know. She could be an addition for the just because I have it ingrained that you need a 5-man party. We've got our tank. We have off heals for you can only use it once per person, and then we have our range. So we're missing our secondary up close damage as well as like a main healer. So I
I
uh, I don't
I
see the other human eternal playing healer. So
no, I could see him calling on them to kind of be the army next book. Now that the evil is out of the bottle, back released into the world. Um,
oh yeah, this is definitely the I told you so moment. Well, yeah, so
and
we take out the Shagnar Fawn, or no, no, I just said it, Devergar guy,
mhm.
bring the Shagnar Fawn, but they don't really know where to go or what to do. We end up going back to hang out with the human guy, and yeah, that doesn't go well because Mercy and Azure end up boarding back and essentially stealing that from him. Mulkin dies after epic fight scene, and then
Props on him to be the bigger person there. Like, I would have been pretty peeved if after all that work they just jump to the wrong conclusions and then just leave me to get murdered.
I guess
Um,
that's where it had more Brandon Sanderson elements. It wasn't, because Brandon Sanderson typically takes like, here's our main character, here's the good guys, aka our perspective, here's the bad
mhm,
guys, and our perspective on them. Then you learn more about them, and you're like, well, just like most war, everybody is just trying to get their just dues and protect their family. So
mhm.
just because you're in opposition doesn't mean you're right and they're wrong. It means that you both have something to fight for and are on opposite sides.
Everyone's the hero in their own story,
Yeah.
and the other guy's the villain.
Yep.
Except for we do have like this solar and lunar court, right? But just because he's a
I
bad guy doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
yeah, Wreck-It Ralph did it best.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry,
And
carry on.
then
You're doing a great job on
uh
the summary.
then we go, and since we died, we're all at, oh, I'm going to remember his name one of these times, our home base where we have the other Divergar and our lady friend, and essentially talk them down. Then Mulkin shares that he has figured out where the Shagnar Fawn shard is. It's in, the afterlife, and that was quite a task to convince him. We end up using our psychomancer or mancy abilities to kill everybody and send them to the afterlife. We get
Hmm.
to hang out with capital D Death and yeah, go through one of the other realms, which that aspect right there opens up so many potential possibilities for me because I understand he has the powers from the solar and the lunar courts, but when RFL was taunting Mulkin, he pretty much said, like, I can make you a king of wherever, where you're from, here, blah, 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 blah. So I
Mhm.
don't see it not being able to go back or go to other worlds. And, once we free Earth and we become so powerful, the gods of destruction come to us and say that they need us to battle in their tournament. You know, just saying.
Uh, I see what you did there. I see what you did.
A
Uh,
lot of potential inside that ability. And then also he gets his hopes up, kind of, sort of, for bringing his lady back.
hmm I enjoyed some of the fun references and jokes. Um, like when he was talking about, I forget what the ability was, but he could have pretty much like put her in a stone and carried her around just to forget about her, like a Tamagotchi or whatnot.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh yeah, I remember those.
They
We
tried to make
all,
a comeback several times. Pokemon, I think Gold and Silver had a walker, and then
mm,
Pokemon Go has an egg hatch walker thing. And then now, oh, I forget the terminology for the game, but essentially Pokemon Go for the environmental AR stuff.
yes, yes.
You know what? It's not related, but was something else during the same time period. Freaking Furbies that
Oh,
wouldn't be quiet, and you'd forget about them, go off to college, come back, and they'd still be making noises. And you're like, how has nobody
yes,
noticed this? Where's the off button? How are you
right.
alive?
Haunt you
Yeah.
practically. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah. How
So
times have changed in all the games. But anyway, carry on. Were we in the land of the souls?
So we're in the land of the souls, and some of our abilities work, some don't work. Makes sense for you can't buff your body that you don't have.
We have to
We
throw
end
down
up.
with our old lunar god.
I'm sorry.
We had to throw down with our old lunar god, the wolf dude.
No, we
Didn't
didn't.
didn't Mulkin's god or whatever come at him the previous
Or
one?
the way the art goes for that is he thought that he forgot that wolves ran in packs,
Mm,
because every time he's been ambushed or had a problem with wolves, it was his origin story for how he got into the world, died to a wolf.
right,
Then he
right.
was approached by his god, Chernagast, and then he was hit by another ghost wolf. And
Mm-hmm.
that's when he was like, oh, Chernagast Jr., even though it wasn't, it was just a really big dire wolf, but not him. It was a
Oh,
similar reference. And then he complains at Mercy for kill steals, and then reality they come in packs.
I
Or at
I
least
I
that's
love
how I understood it.
I loved it when he was like trying to reason with Mercy. He's like, "Oh, we could have just let him go, and then
Oh
like we would have
yeah,
been best
he's a good
buds."
boy. Yeah,
And then like
I,
in the
I
moment of need, he would have jumped out and saved us, and we would have been bros, and just like all this stuff. And it's just like, oh yeah, he's such a
I
nerd.
feel like I enjoyed the dynamic moment of that, but I feel like that is definitely going to happen later with our Shagnar Fawn.
Oh
Um,
yeah, foreshadowing. He
because
says
Yeah,
foreshadowing.
yeah. It was they were pretty much like, "Oh, so you want us to fight for you?" And he was like, "Nope. You guys pretty rough. Figure it out, then come help." And of course, they're going to be like, "That is not the way. And do you know the way?"
Right, right. Try to tell us not to fight. I'll show you.
Yeah. Yeah, and they'll definitely show up for some army fight against other armies, cuz we'll only have our main cast for the final Void God power, or maybe that's how we lose our second girlfriend.
Uh,
So then we go up against the Shagnar Fawn giant epic battle thingy. Um, yeah, that one was pretty good. all in all, we end up talking Mercy into picking up Soul Bond so that she can Soul Bond that part of the shard.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess that's another thing for now that the shard at the end of the book. Now that the shards are no longer shards, and we essentially have most of them, but not all of them, bound. Does that give us power over him, or does that free up our soul slot? That's my big thing because like he could interact with them, he could sense them. So do we have a tracking beacon on the Void God going forward, or does he still have a way in to influence our souls, or do we get to attach other cool stuff because now we've lost our main sword shield components?
The world may never know. Find out next time in episode Savage Dominion Void God. So, real quick, I looked it up on Luke Chmilenko's website. This was one of his blogs from back last November. He was at 90K out of 150K words for the book 3. He said likely not earlier than February 2022, which it's at the time of this
Almost over,
recording.
yeah.
Yeah, we got
Ended
one
up
more
dropping
day.
another book.
That's true. I want to check that out. He also has some updates for Stormweaver 2, but we won't get into that. Different series will divulge and gush over that book too much. But there's no other official updates, so we might not see it until the next quarter would be my guess.
I was gonna say I think he just released I want to say it's called like Dragon, and that's gonna take this quarter slot and be a little more pressing. But as we know from talking to several authors, they're never current and releasing the book. They're typically like 2 or 3 ahead or multitasking several. So especially with him doing collaborations with 3 or 4 different authors, there's potential for, assistance.
And then there's the scheduling with the voice actors, and then waiting on the artist, and then
I think they're all
publishing.
Luke Daniels.
You wish. He does such a phenomenal job. Luke Daniels does the bulk of
Travis
Luke Chmilenko's.
It's Pagan of Blood, not Dragon. I just saw the Gone, and I assume Dragon. Pagan of Blood. Or Paragon?
Probably
Paragon. Paragon of Blood. Okay, so just ignore. He's been on kind of a dragon kick, I feel. But,
I mean, dragons are freaking awesome. What's not to love about the dragons?
Oh man, I even missed his Death and Glory book coming out.
Oh yeah? If you guys don't know, Luke Chmilenko is one of our favorite lit RPG authors. This isn't quite a lit RPG book. I just had it pulled up. What categories does this fall into? And then we can get back on point. That's a total my bad. But I just had it pulled up.
Oh, silly navigation. Science fiction and fantasy. For sure.
Says epic fantasy, which I agree with. Superhero fantasy and superhero science fiction. Does
that's
really
for all
count
those
as superhero?
plebs that don't. Or, generationally speaking, superheroes came first. But in reality, if you just added numbers and a character screen onto Superman, it could be a lit RPG.
Uh,
Just saying, like Flighten is an ability. You know, his armor rating or his shield rating is a thing.
okay.
You know, Kryptonite is a debuff.
Uh,
I
I think you just view the whole world in your own gamified fashion, grinding out that
this is
XP.
true. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, so we went to get the fourth piece from the Land of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
We
I
end
remember
up
what happens next.
was it Gargamash? After
Oh
we
yeah, the
give
dragon
him the
attack. Yeah, we come back and everybody's under attack.
mm-hmm,
And then we go to save Our Lady, but
mm-hmm.
she didn't need help. You know, thought
I
we were safe, but we weren't safe. We end up
yeah.
porting back, or well, okay, so we take out the dragons and save everybody. Then we use our waystone to port back. End up having another epic battle with the human infernal. Or no, that's not right.
Sorry, I have
Eternal.
there we go.
Um, and then while we're getting our butts kicked, we we brought Saren with us, and she uses the arrow to talk back or to get oh, I want to say Mother Dearest, but that's not right. The one who turned all of the Alvarans into
Oh yeah.
I can't
Real
remember
quick.
the name.
Our girl. Oh man, I just had it pulled up. When they were going and getting attacked by the dragons and everything, and Mulkin's kind of like
Saren?
Saren, talking about a plan, and she's like, "Nay, a plan would have been to withdraw to the choke point of the tower entrance and then perform a fighting retreat up the stairs, so that the populace would have every benefit of its defensive structure. This is not a plan. This is an action response or responsive to crisis and all too late." Like all that stuff. And then he's like, "Oh, missed you too." Um, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
It's
that's one of the things. I guess it's complete ramble and it's not related,
go
but I
for it.
had one of those moments at work where how books set you up for life, where you're sitting here watching history repeat itself, and you got to ask yourself if you're going to divine dungeon it and save the world anyway because you know it's the right thing to do,
Of
or you're
course.
going to you know, just address it as it comes and, you know, do the best you can, such as this moment. Yeah.
No, I'm going to make them all live in my soul space and then make them play my little games with Karmic Luck staff just so I can have some fun. Mwahaha. Sorry, carry on.
Need a boom arm, or I need a shock mount because my desk is extra boomy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Or
Uh,
maybe
yeah. So then you said we use the gates to
yep,
go.
bring Our Lady with us.
Yep. After leaving her behind so often, now she gets to
I
come,
get caught in a massive war,
of course.
and she ends up using the arrow to call the lady that turned them all into Schfart or whatever, the
Yeah,
Alvarans, and
that's
she pretty
that's only
much
after we get our butts kicked by the other Eternals, right? With
yeah
the acid
yeah
spray and that lovely lady that came with us, part of the original five.
oh yeah.
What's her name?
Or
It's
wait,
the
was it
mother.
5?
Yeah, because the one guy stayed underground too long, and
Oh
was
yeah, I
kind of
forgot
like,
about him.
yeah, brain dead or whatever from the get
Yeah,
go.
the trauma, kind of like what
Mm-hmm.
we saw with Mage Tower guy.
Mm-hmm. He might make a comeback. Who knows?
I thought we perma killed him. That's how we got his shard separated from his soul.
I want to say
Yeah,
no.
that was our whole, because he was
No,
literally
that
on
was the
his
tower.
shrine.
That was the tower guy. I'm talking
Yeah.
about one of the initial Eternals that came
Oh
with
yeah,
us.
yeah. He's still alive, but somewhere else because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have the power to permakill him, so
Mm-hmm.
he's elsewhere. Uh, insert epic montage,
Yeah.
and then yeah, we'll find him.
Carry on, carry on. So we hold up our um we ping our castle in the sky saying, "Here we are, my queen, my liege, come save us. I am but your humble servant
Well,
who
and my favorite
never
thing
went astray."
is she an eternal or is she basically an elf where she's very long lived?
I think they're basically elves, very long lived. Like all
Okay,
of
because
them pretty much
she
live forever.
totally flexes on Mr. Human, who has the charisma or eternal powers
Mm-hmm.
to command people to do stuff. Where he tells them to stop. It's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like Frank from the original Divine Dungeon series, where he has
Rest in peace, Frank.
the power of words to
The
amplify his
power
will.
of words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she shows up and she does even more of that, locking them all in place. And then she's pretty much calls out Saren, like, you know nothing. Are you going to say that you know more than I do
I
after I've lived so
smell the
long?
stink of him
Yeah.
on you. Da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, you
Yep.
smell him on me?
And then just to snap her neck and walk away, which is quite the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that was hard. That was hard. And then Asher straight up said, like, hey, you screwed up, bro. You know, if you would have come clean about all this other stuff,
We could have saved her.
we could have saved her. But character growth and development, we needs
Yeah,
it.
yeah, we can kill off some of the main cast, and he's already had his training power ups, but now he needs to
Mm-hmm.
find a new sparring partner.
Mm-hmm. In more way than one.
Because I mean, like, isn't that how it goes?
It,
Like,
it is it is a
Goku
pretty
was like a main training partner, and then he ends up dying, doing training on his own. Then he comes
yes.
back, and he's stronger after being rezzed.
Yes.
And
Because he
then same
keeps on
thing,
training.
like I think we or no, I guess Piccolo didn't die. He did his whole I have my arms blown off. Namek powers. Pew, arms back.
We need to find time to just go back and rewatch that. Did you ever get through
This is true.
Super? Have you gotten through Super
I
yet?
believe I'm current. They're doing their epic tournament in the sky on their spinning top guy.
Yes. Yes. Good, good, good. Good, good, good. All right. Now that we've paid tribute to DBZ,
Yep.
um, yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think we actually die here. We continue on because the other Eternal is like, oh yes, we still have this. The castle in the sky and the evil lady's gone. Attack. And
Mm-hmm.
then our other Eternal that came through with us that we don't really care for, who has a couple screws loose, ends up attacking, and he's like, haha, I use smoke screen and run away. Not really, but he runs the other way. And then we finish her
we
off after being taunted.
we did get a Scooby Doo reference in this book, like what you're talking about was just mentioned there, but Mulkin pretty much said if it wasn't for them, pesky, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
That's always the
You
punchline
meddling
of
kids. Yeah,
yeah.
the evil guy, or the guy they end up catching.
Mm-hmm.
So end up taking out what's her name yet again. Heal from our wounds, and now we're on the march to
Dragon Tail.
Or wait, I guess we missed the part where we actually do get the human eternal sword shard piece, because he projects ghost thingies at him to be like, drop it, fumble. Oh yeah, you'd live forever, but you can still make mistakes.
You mean when he sent the image of him dancing naked in front of the mirror or whatever to him?
Or
no, that was
was
at the later
later.
battle. That's
Yeah,
right. That's right.
that was when we get it. It's him thinking fumble or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so now we're on to get the dragons. We find out more about Azure. I want to say his name is, and his backstory and his heritage.
Right.
And then we end up having our epic fight scene on our approach to battle
with the Prince of the Dragon.
I want to say Chernagast, but that doesn't sound right.
No, sounds right.
Okay, giant void worm guy, Chernagast.
Mm-hmm.
And then we end up, oh man, battle scenes were pretty good there too, where we have the 1v1, and he's like, so how do we want to make this fair? Am I supposed to tie my hand behind my back,
Right.
Whatever, how you want to do this?
Right. His taunting.
Yep.
He knows how to talk some smack, right?
Yeah.
Get him. Yeah.
All riled up. We defeat that guy, have a couple more epic battle fight scenes, figure out that a lot of the double colored or people who are supposed to be killed are hiding out here. But our main worm is delusional at best, and we end up passing him off by painting him white. But then we run into our prophet guy from earlier. This is one of the bigger foreshadowing moments where he's like, yeah, so you guys are pretty quick. I expected you to collect the rest before you came here. And then we're like, yeah, we did that. We're awesome. Get on our level.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, so that was all a lie. And Mulkin's pretty much like, if you told me that from the beginning, I totally would have helped. But it wouldn't have worked because we wouldn't have gotten all these epic powers and ability to do what we did as we did.
All the games. Games on games on games on games.
So that leads the question. We literally have a quest and a quest system that is giving us points and other things as we progress along it. Who's giving us those points? Well, my understanding is it is the Void God who's alive but not alive. So, yeah, we literally are able to continue on the quest after we know that the quest wasn't a real thing. So that was uniquely interesting to me.
I want to go back and pay attention to, because like we get those quest updates
And completions,
and maybe it was
XP,
like
and
from the prophet initially, like, hey, gather all these pieces, but then it's the essentially the void god, right?
well,
Who
that's
becomes
where I'm
his
not
patron.
100% because this is the only quest that we actually have, and it's asking in or acting in a typical MMO fashion for task complete, XP gained.
Okay.
And then I guess other things that are odd, but not really too odd, like when we're dueling with Saren and he pulls the whole kiss maneuver. He actually gets XP and attribute points
for that win.
So was that like a duel like typical MMOs?
Mm,
Or was that after exertion you can reach a threshold? How it counted the completion of it? Yeah, it's not explained. It doesn't matter, but I
it
was
kind of
under the
does.
impression I the reason I would say it's not as pressing is because this is not a super stats heavy book.
Okay.
So they're allowed to get away with more whimsical ideals and just have it similar
Okay.
versus something like the land where every ability is laid out and there's a causal connection for everything, or like his Ascend Online series where everything's directly related and the whole NPC PC divide. And yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a yeah, it was odd enough that I was curious. And then that's pretty much the towards the end of it. We end up almost dying trying to get the shards out of the giant worm of doom,
Mm-hmm.
which he is not an eternal. He is just a worm, which is a dragon that is very long lived, and he physically has them embedded in his skin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's different than Talon, who had them bound to his soul.
Right. Right. Everybody wants to harness and get access to that juicy, juicy power, right?
Yep. But they end up becoming partially corrupted.
Just partially.
Well, I'm sure the Void God himself, if he didn't have personality disorder or multiple personalities or bipolar, I could very easily see this being a part of it.
Okay, fair enough.
But that brings me back to the point of like, I believe we bound 4 out of the 6 in total because our main guy Mulkin has 3, and then Chicky Poo
Mercy.
Mercy has 1. We didn't bind the sword handle because we got it as we were going off, I want to say, and
Mm-hmm.
then the final 2 that were in the worm. Or
That
no, there's
is,
6.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well,
we did bind.
three,
We did
four,
bind the handle.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, so we're missing 2 potentially to completely control him.
right. So, what did you? Because you didn't listen to this all the way through before this week, right?
Correct.
I had fun binging it when it first came out several months ago. What what was your take when you finally got to the end and it's like, oh, by the way, all this begging and pleading and
It
reverse
was
psychology,
subterfuge or misdirection.
yeah, yeah, and
I
now,
I felt that's where it definitely gave me the Brandon Sanderson vibes, where
mhm,
I won't say, but I would encourage you to read Mistborn, and it gave me the feel of I'm doing this for your own good. Just kidding. It was very well played out, all in all.
yeah,
Like all the way up until the very end.
yeah,
And so Malkin, essentially everyone who he meets, he's like, "You suck at life. This is how it's gonna be. The Void God is coming back. We need to, Captain Planet this and assemble our dream team and all work together." Where everyone else is like, "No, I'm stuck in my ways. I've been here forever. You don't know what you're talking about." Just to get to the climax of the White Prophet admitted that it was a lie. So why are we still doing this? Um, and then to actually complete the task that we knew was a lie, ending up
It's
backfiring on us.
right.
And now, like, it was a good climactic ending that, like I said before, the initial quest, I figured like that would be the main several arcs of the story, and then we would assemble it, and then, train up, and then the Void God would come back, and then more, running battles, strategic things that happen, and then fight him. But this is where, like, I have so many questions on what if our shards were pulled out of our void slots, or sorry, not void, soul slots,
Hmm.
and now they're open again, or if they're still connected, or what's going on there.
Hmm.
Um, it was well written for the misdirection. It
Oh, that's
is
something
a
that
good climactic ending that, you want to read the next one, so go ahead and finish writing it.
yes, please. We're ready. Um, Something I can really respect out of authors is when they can find that balance, that looking
Or
back on the
delivering.
foreshadowing. Yeah, yeah. Like looking back on the foreshadowing, it's like, okay, if you really look at this and tear it apart, I love the green bottle with the green screen, by the way. So classy.
It's
So classy.
actually like a teal, so that's why you can,
It's
like, kind of see it.
yeah, yeah. You need to level up its stealth skill a little bit more. Um,
They didn't have a green one. I have like a blue one, and then I have like a blue green teal one, and I couldn't find a green one.
yeah.
I have a green cap here. How does that look?
Hey, there you go. There you go.
Anyway,
Um, is that your garlic salt?
yep. You know me so well.
uh,
See, this is my problem. Like, I have too many green things, and then my sad headphones that died, where I get like the little green. Anyway, so
rest in peace. Rest in peace. Um, this book, I enjoyed it so much on so many levels. I kind of got into reading through fantasy, epic fantasy, and this was from one of our favorite lit RPG authors that kind of it's written from almost like a lit RPG feel and perspective with the gamification and the video game mechanics, but it still had the epic fantasy feel. Yet, one of the points I was going to make was that looking back, the Void God pretty much played Mulkin, and here are all these other Eternals who've been there hundreds of years, collecting glory, power, all this awesomeness. And these new scrubs show up and like, oh, we know better than you. We're going to get this done. Mercy's like, let's race to the end. Let's hurry up and do this right here, right now. And then, like, after it all happens, you're like, wow, how freaking naive were these guys that they thought they knew better than everyone else. No wonder they got freaking played. But to tie it back in,
so there's. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, finishing the thought, I enjoy epic fantasy because of like the big stories and just like all the world components and all this big stuff. But like in this book, we've covered like the high level summary. We get a lot done and go a lot of different places and see a lot of different things, and it's all in this second book.
But we don't,
Carry on.
because in the first book we end up turning the Shfart, or whatever, however you say it, back into the Alvarin. So we
Mm-hmm.
know that there are hidden races that you can only unlock after expansions. And then we also know, like, we have only been to one of the Waystones. And there's supposed to be a whole network of Waystones. And then back to that fifth Eternal that came through with us, we have no idea where he went. Granted, he may just be a vegetable somewhere else, which would be, a sad excuse of an existence. But he could be somewhere else. The Void God obviously went somewhere or is building up his powers. And as much as like we have seen and discovered, you can't tell me that there are only like 6 races. We literally stopped, or so we have multiple alliance versus horde type faction events going on, such
Mm-hmm.
as we had the Divergar who were cursed and being turned into stone, but
Mm-hmm.
that was only due to the Void God Shard being placed in the Alvarin temple castle in the sky that was turning them into Shvart. And then it was also why the worms and everyone were multiplying and accelerating into um whatever the giant dragon thing is. So we stopped the Divergar from descending into stonification, killed all their backstory and history, turned the Schwart back into their elven counterpart, long live race.
Mm-hmm.
We, yeah, so, and we've only gone through one of the Waystones, haven't found the 5th individual. Um, we don't know where or who would actually follow the Void God for him to assemble or build up his army. But we do know, based off of Mulkin's abilities with his psychomancy and how he can go to the realm of the dead, I assume that's where Shernagas is going to pull the majority of his army from. Where he's going to be like, "You have served me well. You can come back." Typical void
That could be
demon
fun. Yeah.
methodology. But I would also think that he's kind of like a newborn baby or fawn or whatever, where he has to build up his power.
Mm-hmm.
Or, he was the rusty blade, so maybe he's rusty. Um,
That.
and then insert how do people or things become a god? And that's where I wish I went back through the beginning of book 1 again, because we had all the different races and I can't remember if we've seen them all. Because we
Good
had
point.
human, we had Divergar, which is a dwarf, we had the Alperin, which is the elf, we had the
Mm-hmm.
Arfon, which is kind of demon-esque, or skip leg day. I felt like there was more that we haven't even been introduced to. So based off of the intro, we have at least a couple more races to go through based off of Talon's portal way. We have a lot more portals to figure out.
Right.
We could possibly have, our filler arc, which I didn't enjoy initially in the Awaken Online, but I have learned to enjoy it, and it allowed for a lot more lore building. Um, yeah.
Did it grow on you?
Oh, like first pass, I was upset because I was so invested in our initial cast.
Mm-hmm.
But after continuing the series, I was like, dang, that was some good combat with some good boss battles, a little bit more of the MMO feel, as well
Yep.
as
Yep.
hinting and tantalizing more NPC, processing development stuff that made you question other things. But
I,
he didn't get back to him. So,
I I was about to say, like, Luke Chmilenko was a young fawn at that point too. He is a lot more polished now as a writer
well,
than
and
he
I
was
think
back in the day.
everything that he's released since has been a collaboration. So he has checks and balances, so to speak.
That's a
And
good
this
point. I
is
think
another
Ascend
thing of
Online is his
where,
only solo project we've read.
yeah, and that's where this one I almost felt was a tribute to his previous god complex that he didn't expand upon. where in book 1 of Ascend Online, he introduces creativity and
Mm-hmm.
chaos or destruction,
Mm-hmm.
and they have the pattern that they weave and all these different things. And then the name of the planet we're currently on for the Savage Dominion is Amaranth, which
Mm-hmm.
Amaranth had great meaning in Ascend Online because it was our Puma who fell into the magical pathways and may or may not have gained godly powers or just sentience because that series. So I almost feel like this is a tribute back to his god stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I guess that's another interesting exploit or interesting phenomenon that we don't have more answers to is how do we commune back with our gods? We know that we have the pillars of whatever that we can invest points into, but how do we re-commune with them? Because they initially gave us a overarching, this is what you should do, but it wasn't much more than, hey, you guys are just pawns. We're big fish. We do whatever we want, and you have to fight the other guys because that's what we said. But yeah, as far as we know, we've only met one more lunar eternal, and we killed him, as well as our
Killed
main
it
lunar
real good.
eternal is not just a lunar eternal. Which, if
We
the void god can exist on this plane, why can't the others, or what other things are they doing? Yeah, kind of like I said before, we could enter into other worlds and continue kind of Sword Art Online it, where you can take your initial stats or transfer your character into another realm.
I like it. I like it. Lots of potential. Lots
Right.
of potential. Um yeah. What else did you want to touch on? We talked a bit about the
Mm,
combat. I felt like we got a good amount of that in here.
yeah, it definitely Luke Chmilenko, I would highly recommend for people who enjoy who are currently gamers and enjoy the witty banter. Um, that's where he excels for me. Is his combat is really good, and his witty banter is really good. He did it differently for this one than Ascend Online, for example. Um, yeah, and it's left off in a very good way for I want more because everything we thought we knew was a lie, but not really, because the premise was assemble the 6 shards of the broken blade or rusty blade to kill the void god. So we knew the
Hmm.
void god would coming back. The only difference is the rusty blade is not the weapon that killed him because it contained him. And it contained him and then was shattered and, spread to different parts of the world. So now we just need a new way to kill him. We just lose our epic level loot to take him out.
Well, Mulkin
But we
can
also
perma
know with
kill.
our yeah, with our void powers, and that's why he had to kill Mercy and Azure at the end there.
Yes.
So it changed a lot without changing a lot. I'm very curious to see what kind of epic powers we need a training montage.
I don't know that we have time for one.
Or if it's epic fantasy, doesn't that exceed 10 books?
Uh, I don't think that's quite the definition of epic fantasy.
Oh,
I'll look it up sometime.
I
I'm
I
guessing
guess
this is going to be a
in my
trilogy.
experience, when I think epic fantasy, I think,
Wheel of
oh,
Time.
Wheel of Time, which has a lot, as well as
But like Lord of the
Way
Rings
of
is epic
Kings.
fantasy.
What's the series name for that?
Stormlight Archive.
Stormlight Archive, which has 10 plus guaranteed for the series.
Gosh, it's been a minute since I've reread those. That would be a fun one to go back to.
Those are long, and I don't know if he's going to make it back to. I kind of want to talk about Cytonic before we go back.
Yes,
You know what?
yes,
Yeah, we need to get through Dune for you. We need to get through The Land for me, and then we need
yes.
to go back and
Let's
play
we
more
need to
in
at
the young
least get
adult angsty phase.
we need to at least get through God Emperor of Dune because that's my all-time favorite. I finally got you to listen to Dune, and then we get up to my favorite one, and it's like, no, let's go on a
Yeah,
lit RPG
I
adventure.
I went for yeah. You gave me the power to schedule, and I went on a bit of a rampage and scheduled a
It's
bunch of them. So
it's okay.
you can
All good
schedule it
books.
if you want, and I will be okay with that.
Good, good. It's a good problem to have that we have too many good books we want to talk about.
Oh, and don't even get me started with all the Mountaindale Press editions that we haven't even
mm,
started. And we could learn to love other authors, but
uh,
sadly, they're not in the Divine Dungeon extended universe, so they don't count yet.
have we become independently wealthy yet where we could just do like 3 of these a week? I would love to do 3 of these a week, please.
I need to find ways
Fair enough. Fair enough. Anyway,
and have been searching.
speaking of epic awesomeness coming up, drum roll.
Bow. Bow. Next one we have is Awaken Online. This is Send Help. Precise. Piss?
Precipice.
Precipice. Okay, so like a cliff or
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, which that sounds accurate because after book 1, we primarily follow an individual who is playing on the other side. And we also get AI that is coming into his own and expanding his horizon. So we
Mm-hmm.
probably are going to come to a decision of doing, a typical debate for, do you do it because you know better than everybody and what you say is law?
Yes.
Or, do the ends justify the means, or are you doing it for the greater good? Kind of dilemma.
And yes. All that.
I have been through it, so I won't say too much other than it is a good addition. Yeah.
Yeah, we've gushed about this series before. Awaken Online is kind of considered one of the big titles in the lit RPG space. Um, Kept getting recommended to us. We wanted to check it out, but just we're having too much fun with all the other lit RPG titles out there. Glad we finally got to it. I think I've gotten through like book 4, maybe. So it'll be
I
fun to go back to
we
this
need
one.
to finally ask that community question whether we should marathon mode or whether they enjoy us bouncing around, because this one and BGO and the land and Dune like all have several in it
Yeah.
to where we could easily marathon it.
Yeah, yeah. We've gone back and forth. I could see it both ways, but like if we just did the land, that would be 2 months just talking about the land, right?
Well, yeah, but
Um
it's easier to relate back, kind of like the book we currently just did. I remember book 1, but not
mhm.
as vividly. And, it's kind of my own fault because I had time to listen to 1 and to 2, but then
Hmm.
life and people.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking forward
But,
to cycling back to this one.
yep.
Probably going to try to get the first one out of the way again, just so it's fresh. They're pretty quick listens.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah,
And then this is more of like my palate cleanser book. Um, but yeah, Carl's Doomsday Scenario. Uh,
Carl with a
we
C.
Carl with a C, not our Carl.
Uh,
Um, Doomsday Scenario is done by Sound Booth Theater, and we need to get more of their books in there as well as they have their own Audible-esque platform, which
yes.
would recommend checking out and need to get more of them because they get releases to do the initial book within a certain time frame, and they are amazing with their sound effects. I'm told, and I haven't experienced it for myself, that they also have souped up mega versions that they release later because they do more sound effects. Anyway, so this is a palette cleanser. This is very comical and gives me the feel of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where there are beings beyond our understanding and we're just pawns. But then we run around half naked because the AI loves us crushing things with our toes and has a fetish for it. With a cat that shoots magical eye beams and a velociraptor that eats people. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
amazing narration. Second book in the series, a very more comical, whimsical. Would
Th-
fit, I guess, if I was thinking TV series. It's more like kind of like a Futurama-esque thing.
that's a good comparison right there. Um, Definitely a lot of laugh out louds. Just saw Sound Booth Theater doing some live coverage of
Yeah, the new one they're doing.
book 5 and the recordings there. So it is for a bit mature audiences, not quite on the same level as God King's Legacy that we did, but
Yeah, it's suggestive but not explicit.
well said. Well said. But
Kind
yeah.
of like how Disney can get away with it and say that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd say a step further than Disney because Disney doesn't quite have blow up dolls in it. But Disney does get away with a lot. But yeah, looking forward to both of those. Sound Booth Theater always does an amazing job. Awaken Online is a lot of fun. Keep tossing the audiobook suggestions our way in the Discord.
I
We
think
have
we passed our like 850 mark
850 mark.
or for audiobooks.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got a lot of audiobooks. And sorry, not sorry, loving it. And just because I'm on this high horse, the first audiobook series I picked up on Audible, gosh, like fucking oops, 15 years ago at this point is Game of Thrones, and I'm still waiting for the next book. Like over 800 audiobooks I've consumed since then. And George R. R. Martin, if you kick the bucket before you finish out the series, we will haunt
We're
you.
gonna sick Brandon Sanderson on you
Yes,
because
yes.
he
Well,
does long-winded epic series and he finishes them out like a boss. So I haven't
yeah.
finished Wheel of Time. Sad day.
Game of Thrones. Wheel of
Or
Time.
yeah,
Brandon
I
Sanderson
was
did
saying
finish.
Brandon Sanderson finished out Wheel of Time. I haven't
Yes.
finished Wheel of Time. I'm waiting for his
Yes.
Stormlight Archives to come to be.
Yes. Yes. And yes. Yes. Those Stormlight Archives would also be a good animation instead of a live action. But yet we digress.
I haven't dived back into the live action ones just because I don't want to be sad forever.
Well said. Well said. Thank you, everyone, for geeking out with us this lovely Sunday. Hope to catch you guys next week. We're going to stick with the 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays until further notice. Did I miss anything, Pete?
Nope. That pretty much wraps it up. Thank you again for everybody hanging out with us, and hope to geek out with you here soon.
Bye.
Bye.